I think we can get started. So meanwhile, I have started the server. So let us see. Okay. So yesterday, what we have seen is we have covered the introduction for the Pega CDH, where we have seen what is the difference between Pega decisioning and Pega marketing. Pega decisioning is to identify the next best action. Pega marketing is to deliver the next best action that is identified by Pega decisioning. And different types of marketing that we have: inbound marketing versus outbound marketing. Inbound means the customer will initiate the interaction and business will promote. Outbound means business will only start promoting the offers. And we have seen the CDH portal, which is the main portal that we are going to learn. Along with that, we have seen the prerequisites and few channels like the email, SMS, push notification, contact center. So that's what we have covered yesterday. So now we will see the environment setup. So before we before we start creating our application, before we start creating our application, we need to set up our environment. We need to set up our environment to accommodate the CDH. So we need to set up our environment to accommodate the Pega decisioning. So what does it mean? So in order for the Pega decisioning to work properly, right, it needs some services to be enabled and running in the background. So let us see what are those services and what we need to enable before we create the Pega decisioning application. So that's what I'm going to show today. Okay. All right. So these are the list of services which needs to be enabled in the environment before we create the Pega decisioning application. So let us see in detail what is the purpose of each and every service that we have. So starting with ADM. ADM stands for Adaptive Decision Manager. ADM stands for Adaptive Decision Manager. So the purpose of this service is to enable adaptive models and predictive models. Okay. The purpose of this service is to make your adaptive model and predictive model to work. So basically the model purpose is to analyze the customer behavior and provide the recommendations for future customer. Okay. That is the purpose of the model. Okay. Basically we have a concept of model in our application. What is the purpose of the model is just a minute. Okay. So let us see the services. Meanwhile, I'll try to launch the server from other system, other URL. So whatever the URLs that we have given yesterday, please store those URLs. Okay. So you can see now the server is launched. Okay. Yeah. So let me show you where you need to enable the services. So this is the user ID and password. I sent it yesterday. I hope you already saved it. If you go to this link here also, you can see the user ID and password. Okay. So in order to make the Pega decisioning application to work, some services needs to be enabled. Okay. Some services needs to be enabled. One of those are the services that we are going to see now. The first service is ADM, which stands for Adaptive Decision Manager. That is used to train your adaptive model and predictive model. The second service is DDS. DDS stands for Decision Data Store. So in Pega, we have an additional database that is called Cassandra database. Okay. So we have some additional database that is called Cassandra database. And if you want to do any kind of manipulations like inserting to the database, CRUD operations, create, read, update, delete, all these operations you can do with the help of DDS service only. So the DDS service is specifically pointed to Cassandra database. Okay. ADM is service responsible for models. DDS is responsible for Cassandra database. Now, all these remaining are responsible for some real-time events that you get from external systems. Okay. So they are responsible for some real-time events that you get from external systems. Okay. So that is what this will do. Okay. I think it is taking some time. Any questions still here? Okay. So this is your customer decision hub. So this is your customer decision hub where you actually start working on Pega decisioning and Pega marketing. So this is how the CDH portal looks like. So majority of your work will be in CDH portal. Okay, this is the CDH portal, which is called Customer Decision Hub. So if you go to the Intelligence Prediction Studio, that is how you will switch from Customer Decision Hub to Dev Studio, App Studio like that. That is how you will do it. Okay. So if you see here, this is my Prediction Studio. Okay. This is where you create the models and everything. The decisioning analytics related topics you will be doing here only. Okay. Okay. So if you now switch to the App Studio, okay. So I'm just switching to the Admin Studio. So I was talking about to enable the services in your environment, right? What services you need to enable? You need to enable all the services, ADM, DDS, all the services. So where you will do that is you will do within this admin studio. This is where you need to verify. Okay. This is where you need to verify whether your services are there or not. Okay. Okay. So if you see here, this is the one. So this is the place where you can see all services which are running on your node. So in my server, these are the services that are running: ADM, batch, real time, RTDG. So that's what is there, right? You can see here, that is what is there. ADM, stream, RTDG, real time background processing. DDS is not there. If you see, DDS is not there. That means we are not going to use Cassandra database. Okay. DDS is mapped to Cassandra database. So that is not there. But apart from that, remaining are there: ADM, Adaptive Decision Manager, RTDG, real-time data grid, real-time stream, batch. Stream is also not there. Batch is there. So all the real-time related things you can do. ADM, that is a model related changes you can do. Okay. But DDS is not there, which is Cassandra database you cannot use. That is the meaning of this. Okay. So this is the place where you need to verify whether your decisioning services are enabled or not. First thing, before you even create the application. So if your services are not enabled, then you will face into some exceptions while working on the models. ADM is not there, then you will get some exceptions. You are trying to get some real-time event from external system, but it will not work because it is not there. RTDG is not there. Real-time is not there. Okay. So that is how you need to verify the first step whether the CDH services are enabled or not. If it is enabled, well and good. Otherwise, you need to ask your administrator to do the enablement. So how to do the enablement? How do I enable the CDH services? So if you want to try in your personal edition, you can do this. Okay, you can do it whenever you want. So you can do it in the old version also. So in your personal edition, go to this folder, Pega installation folder, Tomcat. In that bin folder, in that setTNV.bat. I don't know if I have it. I don't have. Okay, it's fine. So Tomcat bin setTNV.bat. Open this folder. You will see one line like this. Okay. So what you need to do, you need to say dnode type equal to your service names. So go to your folder where you install the Pega personal edition, under the Tomcat, under that bin, under that open this file with Notepad. Then you will see one line like this. Simply append comma separated values like ADM, comma DDS, comma RTDG, comma real time. Just you add comma separated values after this line. That's it. Okay, that's it. That is how you enable the CDH services. So once you are done with that, shut down the server, save the file, shut down the server and restart the server. That's it. Now, once you restart, when you go to the admin studio, you will see the service names displaying like this. Okay. So try this operation whenever you are free in your personal edition, launch the personal edition, go to the admin studio, then click on the nodes. Okay. A node is nothing but what? Node is nothing but a server. So if you are having 10 nodes, that means there are 10 servers are there. So you need to do the same operation in all the servers. Okay. So in personal edition, it will be only one node. So open the node, see whether whatever you added in the file is coming here or not. That is how you will verify the Pega CDH services are working fine. Okay. So this is one place where you can verify whether Pega CDH services are there or not. Second place is when you go to the Dev Studio. So this is very important. Whenever you get any exceptions while working in Pega decisioning application, the first step of debugging is to see whether Pega CDH services are running properly or not. That is what you need to do. So click on Configure Decisioning Infrastructure Services. Okay. So here also you can verify whether your services are working properly or not. If you don't want to go to Dev Studio, Admin Studio and all that. Okay. So I went to Configure Decisioning Infrastructure. So if you come to the services here, you see every single tab, you need to have the status as normal. Okay. You need to have the status as normal. That is what I am having here. Okay. In data flow also, you select one thing. It should have the status as normal. So apart from normal, if you see some status, something like error, joining failed, then you need to immediately send the screenshot to your administrator and ask them to restart the server. Okay. Whenever you don't see the status or you see the status as error or joining failed, these kind of status, if you see, you need to email your administrator to restart your server. Most of the time, if the configuration is done properly, restarting will fix the issue. Okay. So otherwise, you need to check with your administrator, get into a call and see what is the dnode type that they have set, whether they have set it properly, any configuration issue is there, all those things you can get into a call and do it. But if it is working once, not working again means maybe restart can fix the issue. That is the first step that you need to do. Okay. So this is the basic configuration that every CDH application should have. That is the Pega CDH environment should be enabled with all these services: ADM, Adaptive Decision Manager, DDS, RTDG, real time, stream, all these things. So background processing anyways always will be there. Apart from this, I'm telling you, these are the extra services. Any questions still here? Around.
So I have one question, Ravi. So when we are enabling these services on particular node, right? So are there any case sensitive, or like can we give it any type of word like
They
DDS?
are
Like
case sensitive. They are case sensitive.
okay.
Okay. So we need to give the correct case. ADM will be capital letter, DDS is capital letters. Okay, RTDG is capital letters, real time R capital, T capital. Okay, so like that we need to give. So exactly it has to match your CDH standard application. Anytime if you don't find it, come to the application, come to the cloud version, go to the admin studio and find out the services. Every time it will be there. You can just simply take this as a reference. Okay.
Got it.
So yeah. One more thing is, let us say you don't want to remember the service names. You don't know the service names or you don't recollect it. Simply, Pega has provided you one opportunity to simply set the service type as universal. That's it, universal. So if you say universal, that is enough. So that means what you need to do is in the denote type, you remove everything here and say hyphen denote type equal to universal. U capital, that's it. Remaining all are small letters, universal. So when I say universal, that means run all the Pega services in this particular node. That is the meaning of that. Okay. Here also, when you come here, you will see the node type as universal. That is what you will see. So when you say universal, whether it is CDH services, whether it is Pega development services, whether the background services like background processing, batch, whatever the Pega service is there, like Pega MKT, email service, SMS service, every single service will start running on that node. Again, the disadvantage is if you are using too much of things like emails you are using, SMS you are using, it will cause huge load on your server. Best thing is you can use it in your personal edition because you will not use that much, all those things, right? But in real-time project, it's not recommended because every service will run on that particular server and it will cause some performance issues. Okay. But that is another thing that you can directly set as node type equal to universal. Otherwise, you can classify your node like this: background processing, comma, stream, comma, web user, comma, like this. Generally, your web user nodes will be different, background processing nodes will be different. So you will keep your CDH services on both web user nodes and background processing nodes. That is what you need to do. So this is the first and foremost step before you go to creating your application. The first important step is to enable the CDH services by you doing node classification in your environment, where you will set hyphen denote type equal to ADM, comma, RTDG, comma, real time, comma, stream. Like that, you need to set in the environments file. Then restart the server and verify in the admin studio whether it is reflecting properly or not. Then check in the dev studio also whether the status is normal or not. That is what you need to do. Okay. Any questions before we go to the next one? So try it in the personal edition, whatever personal edition that you have. Try it and let me know in tomorrow's class. If you are facing some issues, we can look into that. Okay. So yeah, if you want this in the chart, I am sending the syntax in the chart. So Pega installation folder, tomcat bin, okay, set tnb.bat. This is the file that will already be there. Okay, open this and set after denote type equal to ADM, comma, DDS. Like that, you append to the existing values, whatever is there. So like this, you add your services. So try this, restart the server and see whether it is working or not. Okay. Next thing is the basic concepts of Pega decisioning before we go into the application creation. So let us understand few topics before we create our application. The first one is context. So what is a context? What is a context in Pega decisioning? The context is nothing but audience. Okay, context is nothing but audience. See, like I told you, Pega decisioning applications are nothing but marketing. That's what you are doing. You are doing a marketing to your customers. You are marketing your products and services to the customer. This is not development. This is marketing. So when I say marketing, you are promoting your products, communicating with your customers. There is more interaction with the customers in Pega decisioning compared to Pega development. So context here is nothing but the audience, the target audience to whom you are promoting. Whether it is a customers, which means that the existing people with your business, or whether it is a leads, that means they are not yet having any account, whether it is a social media followers who belong to your Facebook page. So different groups of audience are there, which you generically call it as context. Okay. So a context refers to an audience. Okay. A context refers to an audience. So this context has three types: primary context, secondary context, and associated context. So the primary context is nothing but the main audience. Okay. So if you go to the App Studio and go to the settings, there you have something called context dictionary. This is the place where we need to define the context dictionary. Okay, this is the place where we need to define the context dictionary. So if you see, the primary context is customer. Primary context is customer means this is the main audience to whom you are targeting your products and services. Along with the primary context, you can also have secondary context, which is here account. Account is a secondary context. The secondary context can be the other audience to whom you are promoting. Okay, like this prospect is the secondary context already. Okay. So to whom you will promote along with customers. At a given point of time, you can add n number of contexts, but there will be only one primary context. That means the main audience will only be 90% of the time it will be customers. Okay. The main audience will only be one. That is the primary context can be one, but you can add multiple secondary contexts here. Okay. You can add multiple secondary contexts here, but primary context will only be one. So this is my primary audience. Now, along with primary context, secondary context, there is one more called associated data. So associated data means whatever the data that is associated with your context. So you can have associated data for primary context. You can have associated data for secondary context also. Okay. So the associated data means the associated information of your audience. For example, your customers' accounts, your customers' personal loan information. Generally, you will have different tables, right? Customers loan information table. That means all the customers, when they have taken loan, what loan they have taken, when is the duration, what is the duration, everything will be there in the loan table. Same way, customers credit card information. This customer ID is having ABC credit card. This customer ID is having a DEF credit card. So this is the EMI date. All this information is there in the credit card table. That is the associated information that is called as associated data. So every context will have some associated data. So that is the relation that you have in the context dictionary. Primary context, secondary context, and associated data for that context. Okay. So at any point of time, you can change the primary context to some other context also, you can change it. Okay, that is not an issue. You can define another context also. Okay, and you can also add a context, and you can add a new targeted audience also, you can add it. Okay, for example, I can add something like social media follower. This is singular name. You should not give space. Okay, remove the space. Social media follower and social media followers plural name. Then whatever the table where that particular social media followers are there, that table name you need to give it here. Okay. So our bank application name is ubank. Okay. So it will be with ubank. That is how it will be. So simply you just need to give the table name where the audience is present. Okay. The table name where the audience is present. Okay. That class, okay, the class is mapped to the table. That's a concrete class that is mapped to the table. That class name you have to give it here. Then that's it. Save. Then your context will be created. Okay. Now the good thing is all this context dictionary is created by using the wizard itself. Okay. The basic context dictionary will be created by using the wizard itself. So you can see my primary context, that is the primary audience. They are present in this table, ubank-cdh-data-customer. This is the class where the primary customers are present. Okay. And you have the full name property is full name. Email property is primary email. Phone number property is primary mobile phone. So the advantage of having context dictionary is every time Pega marketing has to send an email or SMS to the customers, it will simply refer to this property. It will simply refer to the phone number property. For example, you are asking Pega marketing to send an SMS. So it will refer to the context dictionary mobile number property. This is the property. Okay, for this particular customer, in this particular column, what value is there? To that one, it will send the SMS. Same way for email also. Whatever email is there in this property, that email it will send. So that is the reason you need to predefine everything in the context dictionary. This is my audience. This is the place where you need to send. Okay, you will say send it to customers. Then it will send to all the customer records that are there in this table. Okay. So send it to customers. Let us say 10 customers are there. The email full name of the customer, email ID of the customer, and phone number of the customer. Same way, you will have associated data also. And the good thing is you don't need to create everything manually. The Pega CDH application will automatically create your context dictionary. You can extend your context dictionary if you need it later. But the wizard is there since 8.8 or 8.7. So Pega has launched a CDH application setup wizard. The wizard will take care of entire application creation along with the context dictionary. Any questions still here? No questions? Okay, so that is what I have mentioned here. Identify the context. That means before you create the application, you need to ask your business, what is the audience? Where is your audience? In which table your customers are there? In which table your social media followers are there? So give me the table access so that you can create the class, create the columns, and then you need to create the context dictionary. So we need to identify the context, the associated tables. What is the audience? Let us say they will say, business will say, my targeted audience is customers. This is the table where the customers are present. This is the email ID column. This is the phone number column. To these people, you need to send the emails that you need to map it to Pega first. Okay. You need to map the table to Pega, then join the class. Then you will add the class in the context dictionary. Same way, you need to ask, what is my associated data? I'm saying I'm promoting a banking project. What is the cards, credit card table? Where is the debit card table? Where is the loan information? All this information you need to capture before you create the application. Okay. That is where you will create the identify associated data. That is where you are doing all these things. Okay. So once you do that, then you will create your classes, your associated table classes, everything, and then you will do the association here. So how it is connecting these customers to these accounts is using the association. So that means let us say my scenario is I have a customer table, I have credit card table. There is some join column is there, something like customer ID. Okay. So using this information, you need to create a association rule. Okay. That means your customer table, you are associating with credit cards table. You see in the customer table, I am joining with accounts table and the join condition is this. Okay. The join condition is this. So that is what I am doing in the association. Customer ID equal to accounts join dot customer ID. So that way I am creating my associated data in the context dictionary. Okay. Any questions? So again, the good thing is after 8.7 version, everything is done by using CDH wizard only. You don't need to do anything manually. The wizard will create the basic application for you, which you can extend as per your requirement. Okay. Which you can extend as per your requirement. I'm saying, so we'll see this blueprint also probably later, but I'm saying build from scratch. Okay. I think it is. So you need to say build from existing application. So say build from existing application, select your Pega CDH, select build with Pega CDH. That means your application will be built on top of the Pega decisioning framework. Okay. So I'm saying now launch the wizard. Previously, this option is not there. Now they have introduced this option, that is launch the setup wizard. So now just click on the next. Okay. For example, I'm giving the organization name. I'm giving it as, so I'm just giving something like Axis Bank. Okay, I'm giving Axis Bank. I'm giving Axis, and here I'm giving Axis Bank. So just an example I'm giving. So then I'm clicking on next. So now you need to select your domain. You need to select your domain. So my domain, it belongs to retail banking. So what it will do in the backend is it will install a component that is called the car model. Okay, that is called the car model. So we'll see in detail later, but I'll tell you what is the purpose of this. So what is a car model is, see, I'm creating my application. When I create my application, I need some sample tables, right? I need some sample tables and sample data model, like the tables, columns, properties, all those, right? All the relationships between different classes. That is what this car model will do. CAR stands for Customer Analytics Record. CAR stands for Customer Analytics Record. What does it will do is it will install some sample properties, sample columns, sample classes and associations. All the sample data model will be installed in the car model related to financial services. Like for example, in a banking, you will have something like, let us say, some properties like monthly EMI, annual EMI, interest rate, annual interest rate, monthly interest rate. Okay. All these kind of banking related properties, banking related classes, tables, everything will be there in the car model. So that you don't need to create anything from scratch. Pega will give you the sample data model for you, which is called car model. You can simply extend that as part of your application. So the good thing is this wizard will automatically install that. In the previous versions, you have to manually download it, manually import it, and manually enable it. But in the setup wizard, this will automatically do. Okay, that is what this will do. Now the second change is, in the latest versions, you are going to store the customer interactions in a separate repository called file repo. That is where you are going to store it. That's what we are showing here. In the previous versions, the customer interaction will be stored in the tables, but in the latest versions from 23 onwards, customer interactions will be stored in a file repository. Okay, not to avoid the overload on the database. That's the reason it is stored in a file format. Previously, it is a table format. Now it is a file format. So we'll see more later. But now I am just selecting. You see here, data model is one-to-one data model zip.zip. That's what I told you, right? The data model will contain your sample data for banking, like banking related properties, like monthly EMI, credit card name, okay, credit card EMI. So all this banking related properties will be there. Then the next one is NBAD template. So this data model contains sample properties, tables, columns for banking applications. This will contain the sample offers, sample configuration for your Pega marketing. Okay, for example, in banking, let us say there is something called standard card, okay, premium card. So like that, some sample offers will be there in this particular template. Along with that, some sample configuration will also be imported for banking applications. Okay, for banking applications, what sample settings will be there? That sample settings will also be there in the NBAD template. Okay, so this will contain the data model. This will contain the sample configuration and some sample offers. That is what this will contain. So that is taken care by wizard itself. Simply click on the start button. No need to do anything else. So it will take some time. Maybe it can take up to half an hour also, but it will continue running and it will create lot of auto-generated rules in the backend. Okay, any questions? So that's it. We are going to create the application. If that is done, I'll show you today. Otherwise, we can see it tomorrow. That's it. Any questions on today's topic? So what we have seen today is before you create the application, you need to do environment preparation to enable some CDH services, ADM, DDS, RTDG, all those services. Once you enable the services, verify whether the status is normal in Dev Studio and in Admin Studio. Okay, then you need to create the context dictionary where you will understand what is your primary context, which is the primary audience, secondary context, that is your secondary audience, associated data, which is your associated tables. Whatever the context is, like the customer's credit card table, customer's loan table, customer's debit card table, all those related tables for your context, everything you need to know so that you can add it in the CDH. Okay. So that is what you will be doing in the context dictionary. Any questions? So then we are good to create the application, and lot of auto-generated rules will be created in the application when it is being created. Okay, so you can see the status, whatever is happening, you can see the status. 99% of the time, there will not be any failure. Okay. And the good thing is the application will give you one product file. Once the application is created, one product file will also be generated so that in higher environments, you don't need to run everything again, right? Simply import that product file. That's it. Okay. Import the product file in all the environments wherever you want to do. That's it. That's what you need to do. Any questions? Clear? Yes, no.
Maybe can we update these car models because they will give the sample structure, right? So if I want to update or like I need to
Yeah.
create
Then we can update. That is so that is the purpose of this application and wizard. They will give
Okay.
you some sample structure. You, if you want, you can delete it. If you want, you can create on top of that. So that is a sample general banking related reusable properties that will be there. If you don't want also, you can ignore it or you can disable the component. Okay. So once you
Okay.
create this component in your application, so in your application definition, it will add a separate component in the definition tab. If you don't want that, delete it. If you want that on top of that, if you want to make some changes, you can make it. Okay. So if you go to the definition, there is something called components, right? That is where you will have the components. You see, this is the one. So this is already having the financial services data model. This is the one. Okay. If you don't want,
Okay.
just delete from here. That's it. It will be disabled. But it will contain some sample properties and sample data. Everything will be there.
So
So you see,
before
this is saving
2023
the
version,
context
we don't
system.
have the option to run that wizard, right? So how can we add manually?
Yeah, manually, that's what. Here, if you come, you just download this. Okay, download this and go to the configure, application, distribution, import. Okay.
Okay. Same like
Just you
how you
import like a product file, how you import,
okay.
same you will import it. Once the import is done, you will come here, select the manage components. If it is imported correctly, you will see the component in this list. Then select the checkbox and enable it. That's it.
Okay.
After you import. So same way you will find NBID template also you'll find it. That NBID template zip file will be there. Okay. Same like how you downloaded this, that also you open it. Okay, NBID template for retail banking. Download that. Go to configure, application, distribution, import. Once you import is successful, then you have to do it in the CDH portal. Not here, you have to do it in the CDH portal. But again, it is taken care. All the versions from 8.7 taken care by the wizard itself.
So basically, these are the one-time tasks before setting up the application, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So the product will contain everything. You just do it one time. Product will be given to you. In higher environments, import the product. Okay, let us see. Let us wait for it.
Ravi, can you share the personal edition, or do we need to ask from admin for that?
Sorry, can you repeat again?
I'm saying like, can you share the personal edition?
Correct.
Yeah, the downloaded version. Actually, I do not have that.
That you can take from organizer. Just mention them. I want the old version personal edition. They will give you. Maybe
Okay.
8.7 they have it. So one more thing that I want to highlight is the all the Pega decisioning topics, like the models, strategies, data sets, everything is there in personal edition also. That means you don't need to always run the server, the cloud edition, and open it. All those things you don't need to do. Simply, you can do that in personal edition, so that the backup you don't need to take all the Pega decisioning topics. Means, yeah.
And you were about to showcase the like how we need to take the backup and how we can maintain the.
Yes, I will wait for it. If the application is done today, probably I'll do that. Otherwise, I'll show you in the upcoming sessions.
All right.
Simple. Let us do it now. So once you import this, right? Let us say this application is created. Your application will have everything, right? Everything is there. You need to switch the application, and there, if you go to the application distribution export, right? Application distribution export. So what you need to do is you need to select the full application export process if you are doing for the first time, right? Because the application is a new application, you are doing it. So once you come to the configure, application, distribution, export. Okay, this is where I came. Then click on the package. So for the first time when you are doing, you will do the entire application package. Then next time backup onwards, you can take only the required version, you will take it. Okay. You have the rule set by rule set is there, right? That's what you will do. For the first time when you want to export this entire newly created application, which is the Axis Bank application I'm creating, then you need to do a package here. So you'll say whatever application that's created, like Axis Bank. Once it is created, you do it, not now. Okay. So then where you want the package to be present, let us say in the Axis here, just to give this version. I don't think it is created, but that's what you have to do. For example, I'm giving here CDH. Okay, either select and next. That's it. You mostly have to do next. Make sure that you select everything. Okay. So then in the access groups also you select entire package. So all this you select next till 12th step, and final step, it will ask you to give the name of the package, and download the zip file. That's it. So your backup is done. So you see all the access groups I'm taking, all the operators I'm taking, work groups I'm taking, data models, data tables I'm taking. If you don't want something, you can unselect them. So you can see the customer class, accounts class, prospect class, all the classes I'm taking. Okay, then the database storage. So if you want this, all this you can take it. So these are the sample SR classes that you created. Okay, I'll tell you what is it in the coming sessions. So you can select these classes and you can select the next button. And final step also, you can select the next button and you can export it. So this way, for the first time, you will take the entire application zip file. You will take the entire application zip file for the first time. So you'll say export here and give the name of the zip file, something like Axis Bank app.zip, like that. You give the name .zip and then click OK. File will be downloaded. That's it. Okay. Okay.
So do we have to take this backup on daily basis and then we have to import it in local,
Yeah.
like?
Correct. Correct. So you have to take the backup from the daily basis. You are practicing something. Then first time you will do the entire export. Second time onwards, you can export by rule set. Here, most of the time it will always be in artifacts rule set. Just you can export it and then you can import on top of that. Okay. The problem is, even if you create a new application, the new application will be removed. Whatever the new application you created, it will be removed. So you need to take package of new application every day. Or if you want to practice in the same CDH application that is given to us, you don't need to take the entire application export. You can just only take the export of the rule set only, artifacts rule set. So I'll tell you what is this artifacts rule set. But if you want to practice in this application only, then you can take export of this rule set, because this rule set will contain the latest changes that you have done. Okay, I'll show you all those things, how it is getting stored. But you can just take a rule set export. No need to go through all these steps and do it if you want to practice in this application. But if you want to practice in a new application that you created for the first time, then every day you need to export entire steps, whatever I followed here. Okay, that is one thing that we need to follow. Otherwise, like I told you, do the Pega decisioning practice everything in personal edition. Okay, in personal edition and in community edition, both are same for Pega decisioning. For Pega marketing, you cannot find it, but for Pega decisioning, it is same. Okay. All right. So this will continue. Might take more time. Let it be. So let us drop off and we will start with our application functionality from tomorrow. I'll show you the newly created application, how the structure is there, what is the application definition, what is the next step that we need to do. Everything we will see in the tomorrow session. So we are just working on creating the application. So all these are some sample data that is given to you. Sample strategies, OOTB strategies, sample models, data flows, all these are there. So you see now this is the step. Applying the template to the NBA designer. That is what is happening now. Okay, that is what is happening now. So if you go to the customer class, once the CDH data model, CAR, customer analytics record, CAR data model is installed, right? You can see all your sample properties will be there. Okay, you can see all your sample properties will be there in the customer table. So that's what you can see. Depends on what financial model that you are using. So my financial model is financial services. Sorry, my CAR model is financial services. That means I will have some properties related to banking. Okay, all the properties related to banking institutions, those kind of properties will be there. Like what is a loan, what is the loan amount, mortgage, all those banking related things. So in the assignment, I will give you a telecom related assignment, okay, which you can practice.
So you'll be basically teaching us banking application, and the assignment will be related to telecom.
Correct.
So this is how like we're going to work on two projects.
Yeah, correct. Because it will be same domain, it will be easy for you. So you need to understand how telecom also will be there. So that's the reason we will give you a telecom application. Okay. So you see now, how you see count of credit cards, count of deposit accounts, count of loan accounts. So now let us say more properties like total liabilities, total assets. So everything is related to the financial institutions, credit score update time, debit to income ratio. So all these are the sample properties the model has given. Okay, sample properties the model has given. Everything will be exposed columns in the backend. So you can simply start using your application directly without spending too much of time on the data model structure and all those. If you need more columns, you can just simply add the columns. That's it. So that way it will be very easy for you to get started. That is the purpose of this car model and the NVIDIA template. Okay. So let us meet tomorrow. Let's meet tomorrow and we'll start with the new application functionality. We are going to see how the new application looks like and how to get started. All right. Then. See you all.